Questions. Hey guys, I'm B. I am 31 years old from Sweden. Um, and I am a world traveler. And I, over the past 5 years, 4 or 5 years, have created the life of my dreams where I get to travel the world, spend time with friends. I can work from anywhere. And I'm happy. And it wasn't always like that. I struggled a lot when I was in elementary school and high school. I always felt like the odd one out. I um, Something that I shared with the other class this morning was that I developed an eating disorder when I was 14. And that was a way for me to get attention and to, it was the one thing I knew to do to receive love. And it's like the reason I'm sharing that is because I want you to know if anyone is struggling with anything that you're going through, because we all go through things that. Sorry. Oh, where'd you go?
Are you good?
Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Are we good? Okay, cool. Nice. It's so weird to have you look at the screen and I'm like, but yeah, like I said, the reason I share that with you is I personally would have needed that when I was your age, like between 14 and 18. Those were the years that I struggled the most with who I was and trying to be what everyone else wanted me to be or what I thought they wanted me to be. And it kind of sucked because I totally lost myself in that. I had no idea who I was. I was just doing everything that everyone else expected of me. And yeah, if I had known then where I was going, I wouldn't have worried. And that's what I want to give you too, that you don't have to worry. Like, you are so brilliant that you will figure it out. Even if society is telling you to do something, or your parents or grandparents or your friends, everyone will have 4 million opinions on your life, and it's totally up to you. It's all up to you what you do with it. Like I said, I struggled for years, and actually it's been up until just the last month that I have struggled with my eating and feeling like I'm good enough, even if I ice cream or if I don't go work out, I'm still okay. I'm still good just the way I am. And it's a long process, and I did it all on my own to get out of it. And when I was your age, I wish that I would have had the support. People asked me if I wanted help, and they tried to help me, and I just didn't want it. And I so wish that I had taken them up on their offer and just trusted people too. And most importantly, trusted myself. I think I have been my own worst enemy. I know that's cliche, but I've totally been my own worst enemy, and I've doubted myself so much. But what I've also done is whenever people have said that, oh, sweetheart, you can't do that. It's too hard for you. You're not going to make it. Don't take that math class or don't study that language or whatever it is. I've always gone out and I've done it anyway because I know that I can. And 5 years ago, I had this idea to build an orphanage in Kenya. And I told my dad that I wanted to do that. And he said to me, like, how in the world do you think you're going to pull that off? It's not going to happen. You might as well just give up right now. So I turned around, I walked away, and a year later, my dad actually came to Kenya with me to see the school and the orphanage that I had built, which was pretty cool to see that even if people go against us and say that we can't do things, it's up to us. And that's just a big, big thing that I want to give you. That no matter what people say that you can or cannot do, it's up to you. Yeah.
Girls, do you have any questions off the top of your head, just off of that little bit that she spoke on? You can ask any. You look like you got something, Anna. I have multiple screens up because I'm trying to give you like that other screen that's down at the bottom.
Yeah, I have them now.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you so like it looks like they're looking at you. So that's my phone, and then I have these screens. I look very techy right now, but I'm not.
You look very techy.
So I don't think you mentioned this time. What was the name of the eating disorder, and like what is it classified as?
It's classified as orthorexia. And when I first got diagnosed, they actually didn't have a diagnosis for it. It was not until a year later that they actually distinguished it as its own like specific type. Because there's anorexia, there's bulimia, and then there's orthorexia, where you typically eat super healthy, and then you compensate whatever you eat. You compensate it with workouts. So I started out like cutting out fats, and then I started cutting out carbs and then proteins, and then in the end I was eating carrots basically and water. And I I increased my workouts from like 3 times a week to 4 or 5 hours a day. Even more sometimes. When it was at like the worst point, it was close to 40 hours a week, which is not healthy, not even like, I don't even think elite athletes work out that much. It's just, it just breaks down your body, and yeah, it will just hurt you. So I was at that stage for, luckily, only for about 6 months when it was that bad. But it was 6 years that it completely consumed my everyday life. I worked out, I went to school, got home, and I worked out, all the while hiding this from my family. My parents didn't know, my sisters didn't know. Although everyone at the gym, all the instructors knew that I was doing this, and no one spoke up, which is also, now looking back at it, I'm kind of disappointed with them because they saw this like 14, 15, 16-year-old girl like hurting herself, and they didn't do anything about it. But in the end, I didn't think that I wanted to help because I wanted to be in control, because that's a lot of the times with eating disorders, that's what causes it. You want that control, and it's the one thing that you can manage when school is rough, or your parents are going through a divorce, or anything that's going on in your life. Food and exercise is something that you can control. So that's what I was, that was my drug, I guess you could say. um, yeah. So if you have any questions, I will answer them all. Like, you can ask anything.
Very good.
No, I said you can ask anything you want to ask.
From traveling to her orphanage in Kenya. Yeah. Kayla's question was, what inspired you to want to open that orphanage in Kenya? And if you could just speak a little bit more on it.
Yeah, cool. Well, what inspired it was when I was little. If I didn't want to finish my dinner, if I had had enough, like I was full, I didn't want to eat more. Um, my parents and people around me would say, "Well, you should eat your food. Think of the starving children in Africa." And of course, when I was 4, the I didn't know the distances of the world. I didn't know how far Africa was. So I would just innocently say, like, well, why don't we just pack this up and send it to them? Because I'm full. I don't need any more. I can share. And of course, all the grown-ups would just go silent and wouldn't have a response. But that's something that I always brought with me. Like, think of the starving children. Think of the starving children. And for me, that was never tangible. I always knew that I needed to do something hands on. And I ended up going to Tanzania when I was in nursing school, and met these absolutely amazing people. And even though in our eyes, they don't have anything, they don't have safety, they can't put food on their table, they don't have their health, a lot of the kids don't have parents, and they are still so happy, way happier than most of us, which was super inspiring to me. And I wanted to do something. I wanted to do something for them. So I ended up on a bus in Mexico next to a woman who had been to Kenya, and she said that she wanted to go back. And I said that, let me know when you're going, I'll tag along. And I did 6 months later. And I met even more amazing people in even worse places, in the slums where there's lots of violence and illness and lots of kids wandering the streets by themselves. And I saw how much you can do with very little money. Like, to feed a child, a meal is less than 5 cents. So I went home and I started fundraising, and that was the start of it. I bought land, and then a few months later, I went and we built the first house. And now, 5 years later, we have a huge school. We have 135 students right now, and 65 of them live with us in the orphanage. Some of them have parents, but most of them come from very, very rough backgrounds. Many of them have been abused, and they're all malnourished. Most of them are way smaller than they're supposed to be. They're underdeveloped because they haven't had the nutrition. Most of them have had maybe one meal a day growing up. So um, they have a chance at life again. They get to play and learn and actually be kids, which is really cool.
They're pondering right now. Have any of you ever been to another country? Missionary type work or anything like that? Have any of you wanted to? No. And then you said you wanted to like start naming some of the buildings after certain people, right?
Oh yeah, we um, we have started naming some of the buildings. Um, we had this one gentleman who passed away a couple years ago, and instead of flowers at his funeral, people made donations. And this was a man who was pretty high up in the travel industry. So they ended up raising like $80,000 for his funeral. And with that money, we built a dorm for 80 kids. And so his name is on one of the buildings. I want my grandmother's name on one of the buildings in the future. And we just, on our last trip, we started planting trees and actually putting like bricks with people's names on them. So people who have passed away. So it's like an orchard of memories, basically, which is kind of cool.
And then this kind of ties in. Who would be your biggest motivation in your life?
Oh yeah, my biggest motivation um, are those kids that live there who come from these backgrounds, and like they have fallen down so many times. They've been hurt and abused and starving, and they still get back on their feet, and they keep trying and they keep practicing over and over and over again, and they show up for each other. Like if someone like physically actually falls down, there will be a big group of kids around them picking them up and making sure they feel better, and they are so loving and supportive, even though they haven't had anyone to be there for them when they were little, which I just love that about them. And they're my absolute biggest motivation. It's for them that I do what I do, and they're also the reason why um, I've been into my latest career, which is life coaching, that I started less than a year ago to like motivate other people to do big things and change people's lives, even if it's just their own life. That will have a ripple effect. It will affect their parents or their kids or siblings or the people they work with or go to school with. Um, just getting that change, that's that's what I love to do. And luckily in my job as a coach, I can do it from anywhere. So I can do fundraisers for Kenya in the morning, and in the afternoon I can coach someone in Singapore and then in Michigan and Sweden. I can work from anywhere. Which oh, you were breaking up.
Tell them where you're at right now, because they probably think you're in Sweden.
Oh, right. I'm in Michigan. I'm in Zealand right now.
Zealand, Michigan, so just outside of Holland.
Yeah. So I left Sweden on April 2nd, and I've been traveling since, and I have another month of travels. So I've been to San Diego, Seattle. I've been to Canada a couple times in this last trip. And I can work while I travel and do anything from my phone, my laptop, which is pretty awesome.
And where will you be next week?
Next week, I will be with you guys. I will be dancing with
Wednesday.
you guys.
She'll be here Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I send you out on a good way. It's their last. So this particular group of seniors, this hour, that's their last day, like with me ever. So that'll be a good send off.
Nice. That's awesome.
Again, I'll just look at them. Oh no, just kidding. Do you guys have any other questions right now? Kenya, life coaching. What do you do in life coaching?
Oh, good question. So in life coaching, what we always start out with is looking at what you want to create in the future. So this is where you get to be completely unreasonable and like, say all the things that you dream of and all the things you want to accomplish or do, all the things that you want to have. And then together we make a plan to make that happen. And let's say you think that you want to be an astronaut. Maybe you can't actually be an astronaut because you're not tall enough or your eyesight isn't good enough. That doesn't mean that you can't still do something that will get that feeling, because what we would look at is like, what is it that you're going for with wanting to be an astronaut or an NBA player or whatever it is. And it usually comes down to, well, I want that joy and the connection and the thrill and all those feelings that you want to get out of that experience. Then we look at how can you get that in your daily life. And with a life coach, you just work towards your big goals, whether you want to run a marathon or open an orphanage or go to med school, whatever it is you want to do. I, as a coach, support you and coach you towards that.
You keep saying the word support. How do you feel as if that is different than necessarily helping?
Can you say the last bit again? You were cutting out.
Yeah. You keep saying the word support. And how do you feel as if the word support is different than helping?
Yes. I see those two words as very different, because when you ask for help or you say that you want to help someone, you often see them as weak or someone who can't do something for themselves. And help is nice. It's really nice to help someone. I'm not saying that. But if you support someone, then you actually like tell them what strengths they have and you walk side by side while they do the work. And with support, you show them that you believe in them. Like, I believe that you can do this. I'm going to cheer you on, but I'm not going to be like on the court with you. Like, I will be on the sidelines cheering you on and telling you that you're awesome, and like seeing the things that you can't see for yourselves. Like, oh, I can't do this today. I just can't. Like, I'm not good enough. I suck. And my job is to remind you that you can actually do it. Whether if I were helping you, I would be like dragging you along or like picking you up and carrying you, which is very different.
One of the girls here just said, I'm going to need a life coach when I'm running for president.
Yes. Call me.
Call me. Any other questions, girls? Anything you can think of? Personal, career related. Make a difference. Anyone? Come on. Be the same thing. They talk all the time with me and then they have no questions for anyone.
Well, I have a list of questions that I don't know if you guys sent them or someone else did.
One just asked, where have you been? Where have you traveled to?
Oh, I have been to, well, all over Europe. I've been to, well, the US, East Coast, West Coast, um, several places in Canada, Mexico, Dominican Republic, China, India, Tanzania, Kenya, Turkey. Yeah, those are the places I can think of right now. But Michigan is one of my favorites. Michigan and Victoria, BC in Canada, and
And
New
what
Hampshire.
Canada? What place in Canada?
Canada?
Yeah, what part?
Victoria, Vancouver Island.
Have you been there?
I just love that place, and one of my best friends live there. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Good question. What are some of the ones on that sheet I gave you?
Well, one was who or what has held you back from positivity and success? And this one is, it's easy to blame other people for this one. It's like, oh, my dad didn't believe in me, or my fourth grade teacher said I wasn't good at math, or like I could have all these excuses. But what it comes down to is me not believing in myself. Like I have definitely been my own biggest enemy, and I've said that before. And it's something that I work on every single day. And I think that it's not something you ever finish. Like it's not like you're gonna wake up one day and be all transformed and, oh, I believe in myself fully and I love myself every day for the rest of my life and it's all sunshine and roses. I believe it's something that you have to work on. You actually have to make a choice to show up for yourself every day and choose over and over and over again to have kindness and compassion and practice loving yourself, because I believe it's a practice, especially when other people are doubting you. Yeah.
Sorry, I keep going back and forth from the microphone. What were some of the other ones?
Oh yeah, one was, what were your steps to success? And the big thing is that I didn't stop. All the times, like the hundreds of times that I just wanted to give up and lay down on the floor and like, peace, someone else take over, I'm not going to do this. I yelled or cried or stomped the floor, like, screw this sucks. And then I decided to get back up again, just like the kids in Kenya do, and I kept going. And sometimes you have to change your plan because it doesn't work out the way you think it's gonna. And but yeah, just keep going.
Life coach, but then what's your other career as well?
I'm also a registered nurse, so I work in the infectious disease ward, which is super fun and awesome. But it limits me because I have to be in Sweden. So that's why I'm a coach and a nurse. But it's super fun when you actually, like, you get to go in and save people's lives every single day. And you get to, like, my favorite part with infectious diseases is that you get to play detective, because in our ward, we get all the people where we don't actually have a diagnosis. We have no idea what they're suffering from, and we just have to, like, do our best until we figure it out. which I really love. And it's so fun, like, to see people walk out a few days later and actually feel good. It's pretty powerful. So I'm in a life-changing business on several places, and it's what I love. It's what I do. Oh, I can see both screens. Oh, anyway.
My screens were too close together, so it wasn't working. But Kayla, what was your
Oh,
question?
that's fine.
One second.
Yeah, another question.
One of the girls asked, is the kids from Kenya one of your biggest motivations to continue to strive forward and to do what you're doing?
What my biggest motivation is?
Well, like, are the kids from Kenya one of your biggest motivations to continue what you're doing? And in terms of infectious diseases too?
Yes, definitely. They are my biggest motivation, for sure. Just looking at where they would be if it wasn't for what I do for them. Like the kids that we moved 5 years ago, our very first girl, her name was Anne, she was 11, and her neighbors tried to sell her after she was orphaned. So she would most likely not have been alive today if we had not taken her in. And like all the kids' stories are different, but they would all have ended in the same way, where many of them would not have been alive. So that's my motivation. When I look at my phone and I get a new profile of a child that's on the wait list, because we have social workers that walk around in the slum and they find these kids, and then they message me and they're like, hey B, this is Susan, she's 8 years old, she's an orphan, we need a sponsor for her. So then my job is to go out and like find someone who wants to sponsor a child, and they get to move and have their life completely changed, which is pretty good motivation.
Quick question on the orphan, and then we got another one. But how long usually do the kids stay at the orphanage? Or are they there?
They stay at least until they're 18. And we have one girl who's turning 21 this year, and she has not decided what she wants to study in college yet. So she's doing an internship with one of our teachers because she thinks she might want to be a teacher. So she is co-teaching our kindergarten class. So they stay until they're ready to move out on their own.
So do you actually have families that will adopt from your orphanage?
No, because the kids that we have are not registered anywhere.
Okay.
They like on paper don't exist because they were never registered. The government has no idea how many of them, and some of them have birth certificates, but most of them are not actually accurate. And also we believe that having the kids stay with their siblings in the country where they were born, where the language that they speak is actually better for them. In this case, there are so many different cases, but if we can provide a safe home for them, then we believe that's the best place. But if we couldn't provide that, then adoption would definitely be an option.
Awesome.
So,
hey, my student Paige has a question. She says she knows you have two very important careers and both of them are different. Is it hard keeping up with both of them?
Mm, yes. Yes. Yeah. It's definitely been a challenge while I figure out what it is that I love the most and what I want to do. Um, but ideally, what I want to do is coach 3 days a week, work on Kenya 1 day a week, um, and then once a month work at the hospital for like 3 or 4 days. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm working towards, and that's what it will be like when I go home. But right now, it's all coaching and Kenya work, which works perfectly because I get to be in Michigan and I get to play and I get to go see you next Wednesday and I get to actually choose when and how I want to work.
That's awesome. So the job at the hospital back home is obviously very good with working with your schedule and flexible in that.
Well, I resigned 4 years ago because they weren't meeting my standards because we didn't have enough staff and we were working way long hours and it was just impacting our health. So I resigned and 17 out of 20 nurses in my ward actually followed and we gave them feedback. We said, "Hey, these are the reasons why we're leaving. This is what I believe that you could improve." And not just like, peace out, I don't like you guys, I'm going to do my own thing, but I actually gave them something when I left. Like, this is my advice because I had been with them for 6 years and they actually took every single piece of advice to heart and implemented it. So I now have like a temp job there. So I send them a message like, "Hey, I'm going to be home for the next month. Send me all the shifts that you want covered." And then I can pick and choose. So they are super happy with me because I come every now and then and just cover a bunch of shifts. I have all the experience because it's not easy to find a nurse with the infectious diseases training, and so that's why it's totally flexible because it's completely up to me.
That's awesome.
And I created that. Yeah.
Anyone else? Question? What advice do you have for our seniors who are leaving in 1 week?
Whoa. Yeah, what I would leave you with, you don't have to decide what you do when you grow up or whatever you want to call it. I'm still not grown up. I'm never going to be. You don't have to decide right now or in 5 years or in 15 years. You have time. Figure out what it is that you love to do. Because if you're going to do it for a lot of years, do something that you actually enjoy. And there are ways to do it. And just to keep standing for what it is that you want. And if you don't know what you want, talk to a life coach or talk to a friend and be obnoxious when you dream and just write all the things down that you want out of life and then go and create that. It doesn't have to be what your parents say, or not that you need to be rebels, all of you. I'm just saying a little bit of rebel is a good thing. Don't just conform. That's boring.
How important do you think like writing is? Writing in a journal or anything like that?
Well, I think writing is just one way of expressing. I started writing this year. I've never liked writing. But whatever you do to express what it is that you want or your thoughts or feelings, whether it's through dance or drawing or writing or whatever it might be, express that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be remotely good. As long as it feels good and it gives you something, then do it. That's what I would say.
Girls, any more? Any personal questions? They're flowing in your brain, and I know they are. I know you got them. They're right here. Just say it. We'll work it out. They have questions. They don't know how to say it, so we're gonna work it through.
Okay.
When you travel, is it different? Is the like how do you go from culture to culture and adapt and absorb and that? Get used to it.
It's definitely something that you get used to. It what I do is I plan my trips so that I have time in between. Like for me, being here in Michigan is like being home. Like, I know the bed, I know the people, I know the area. Like it feels like my home where I can recharge. Because it can be challenging. I think I've slept in 15 different beds over the past month just because I've traveled so much from all different places. And just practice. And we're all different. Some people will thrive doing that. They don't mind traveling for 2 years, and some people are happy after they've traveled for a week. So it's just try it out, what works. And yeah, for me, it's definitely just connecting with people that I love. That's the most important piece for me.
Yeah, one good. They want. That's actually a really good question. Where does your money come from? How can you travel so much and make it all work?
It's a good question. Well, first of all, I travel smart. So I stay with people. So I don't have the living expenses. Like I pay for food and things, of course. Um, but as a nurse, I pick up the shifts that pay the most. So I pick up the weekends and nights because they pay me more. And I set money aside. I'm good at saving. Um, I set up a retirement fund when I turned 20. That's when I started saving for my retirement. Um, yeah, it might seem like a bit excessive. And I don't want to retire when I'm 70. I'm going to retire when I'm 50. Like, I'm setting myself up to have the choice that when I'm 50, if I want to retire, I want to be able to. And if I absolutely love what I do, I'll work till I'm 60 or 65 or 70. But I want that to be my choice. And same with my travels. I always set money aside. Every single paycheck, a part of it goes into savings. Always, always, always. Even if you babysit and make $5, like set $1 aside in a jar or in an account or somewhere because it's gonna grow. And then I take the train if it's cheaper, or I fly on Tuesdays because Tuesdays are always cheaper than Thursdays and Fridays, and um, like avoid traveling in July because it's more expensive, but go in October because that's the lowest prices, and like little things like that that you learn. Um, yeah, and of course with my coaching, like I get paid because I can work from anywhere.
We got a question coming. Sorry. One of the students, when she goes into college, she wants to study abroad, and she's wondering where would you suggest the top 3 places to go and study and visit and that sort of thing.
I didn't hear the first part. Did you say places to study and visit?
Yeah, she wants to study abroad when she's in college, and so she's wondering where would you suggest her doing so?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you want to major in and if you're into a specific language or something. I mean, if you like Spanish, then South America or Spain or something. But
she does want to do poli-sci, so if that helps you.
Say that again?
She wants to do poli-sci, so political science.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for you guys living over here, I would say Europe, because there are so many countries where you can actually drive or take the train. There's such a great opportunity to see a lot of different cultures close by. Like, if you're in France, you can be in Spain in 2 hours. So you can be in Germany in 3 hours. You can take a bus over to England and Scotland and Ireland and like go over to Turkey. Like, there are so many places. It's such a great hub if you want to see and experience different cultures. That's what I would say.
That's great. I want to go back to Europe. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then you can just come visit me in Sweden or come to Kenya.
There you go. That works. Anyone else? They asked if you're in a hotel. I didn't tell them where you're at.
No, I am not in a hotel. I am in my friend's daughter's bedroom because I have a beautiful view of the backyard and it's sunny outside, so I wanted that.
Which, by the way, you've gotten sun in the last 4 hours.
Oh yeah, I did. I went outside. I had lunch outside. Because it's sunny and it's lovely. Yeah, I was outside with the dog.
Oh, my butt.
To a neighbor.
That's awesome. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Here comes the personal one. I like it. They want to know, are you in a relationship? Because it'd be really hard, they believe, to travel and do that kinds of things if you were.
Yes, that I would say is the biggest challenge. So I'm not in a relationship right now. But I'm also open to relationships that are not necessarily in Sweden. Like, if I were to meet a guy in San Diego when I'm there or in Canada, like, I don't see that as impossible because I travel so much and I make it work and I can work from anywhere. But yes, it is more challenging when you're only in one place for a week or so. Definitely.
And I got another one. It's okay. Do you have any pets?
Any pets? Well, no. I used to have chinchillas.
Stop it.
Do you know chinchillas? The furry little dudes. I had those. I had 3 of those for a while, and after they died, because they can live for 20 years, but they were like 10 and 12 or something.
Wow.
That's when I started to travel, and because I'm gone so much and going back and forth to Kenya, I didn't feel like it was responsible to get another pet because someone else would have to take
Good for you.
Yeah.
So proud of you.
But all my friends have pets, so I get to snuggle and yeah.
Do you have any tattoos?
I don't, but I want one. So I graduate next month, and I want to get like the infinity symbol with dandelion seeds flying off it, and with some words like in the infinity symbol. Because through the life coaching program that I'm in, we talk about our essence, like our true selves, how other people see us. So my essence is that I am joy, leader, connection, luminescence, and love. Like that's how I show up in the world. And each of you also have your essence. And I want part of that in my tattoo.
Now, is that like that's what you feel as if you are, or something like that's what someone has?
It's actually an exercise that boils down to you calling 10 people that you know, and you ask them 2 questions that they answer. They don't know why you're calling, but what you ask is, what shows up when I do? What qualities do I bring to a room?
So what shows up
So
when what? What
shows up when you? What qualities?
Yeah,
what qualities do you bring to a room? So
we should do that.
And then people give you like a whole list of things, but then you boil those down to 5 words. It's a really cool exercise to hear other people speak about you.
That'd be really cool. My mom used to do this project in our health class, and we had to take a picture of just our face, like just a headshot, and we sent it to another health class in a school, and they didn't know our names, didn't know nothing about us, and all it was our picture, and they had to write down, like each person got another student, and they had to write down what exactly they thought of that person, like do they look nice, do they look sad, like, and that kind of thing. And then they mailed them back to us, and like we really got to see like what someone just looking at us, what our personality would say about us. They weren't allowed to say anything physical, like they couldn't be like that person's ugly, like they couldn't say anything like that. They had to be all about the personality. It was super interesting.
Nice. That sounds very similar. I like that.
I'd have to ask my mom. Good. Any other questions? And I got another one. Are you sure? On the stop. Awesome. I have sisters in this class, so. Good. Anyone? All right. So B, if you had to give one bit of advice, what would you give these girls?
I would say stand up for the life that you want. Don't let people tell you what to do, how to do it, or especially how to be or who to be. That's your choice. And keep going, keep showing up, keep practicing, keep getting up when you fall down. It does not have to be perfect. You do not have to be perfect. Perfect will only hurt you.
Awesome. Well, girls, come on up here. He's gonna want to see all of you. While they're coming in here, they want to know how tall you are. How tall are you, B?
I am 5'9" and a quarter.
You're what?
I think. Like 5'9".
Okay. He looks tall. That's why I said that. That's an inch taller than me, guys. Calm down. All right, see if everyone can in here, so kind of crouch down or come closer or whatever, maybe. All right. So this is everyone.
Right. Beautiful. I love it.
I didn't know if you want to do what you did last time, so.
Yes, I would love to do that. So in coaching, we always end with acknowledgement. And what I see in you guys is play and curiosity, heart, connection, joy, light, and so much love. So thank you so much for spending this last hour with me, and I can't wait to see you next week. Good.
They just said thank you. Sorry, I'm unmuted it. Sorry. Say it again. Say it again. All right, they have to go. The bell.
Thank you.
Thank you, B.
Oh.
Hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Fun.
This guy gets to go read to the elementary school now.
Oh yeah, I saw the pictures on your Instagram. That's so awesome.
The varsity softball team's been going over there, and they're gonna go again today because their game got canceled. So he loves it. He loves the
That
kids.
is so awesome.
You're okay, Brody. Brody.
Is he with you every day?
Yeah. Someone new just came in, so he's not too sure about it. It's okay, Brody.
Oh.
You're fine. But I'm gonna get him ready to go so I can drop him off. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
For the day. Do you have anything planned the rest of the day?